Hello, we are the Brazil group, and we'll be covering our project. My name is Hunter Crawford.
And my name is Dimitri English.
I'm Sara Hartung.
And I'm Jolynn Nissen. So when we're looking at Brazil, Brazil is the largest country in South America, taking up most of the western side of the continent. And their population is pretty large, coming in at 211 million people. And they speak Portuguese, but since it's so industrialized in the southern region, they have a lot of emphasis on English as well. Travel and business in Brazil is a little complicated just because it spans across 3 different time zones. And due to geographical and just kind of the span of the country, the culture in both the north and south regions is very different.
Yes, so regarding the culture in Brazil, it is more family-based and team-oriented, almost as the US is. And they have longer work days, more as in an 8 to 6 instead of a 9 to 5. And they like to respect hierarchy and pursue higher education. But in regards to pursuing higher education, is more towards business skills, as in working in the office, instead of technical skills and more English-based skills.
As mentioned earlier, there seems to be quite a gap in between the north and the south side of Brazil. On this map over here, you'll see how it transferred from 1991 to 2010. The red area is showing where there's low human development. As you see in the 2010 map, there's kind of lacking in development up in the northern hemisphere of Brazil. Whereas down in the south, there's high human development, and this is normally where we'll see a lot of the industrialization and the buildings that Brazil has.
Brazil follows a little bit of a different leadership model than some other countries. They're highly ranked in the Hofstede's model for performance and team orientation, which makes them pretty unique in that aspect. Like they mentioned, Brazil tends to follow a hierarchy, a very defined hierarchy, and they value charisma as a trait in leadership. The people of Brazil value the support of teams aspect as well, and they encouraged input from others when working. So rather than having one authoritarian figure, they like to have input from all around.
So when looking at challenges that face Brazil that we could look at in an adaptive way, we kind of really started at the top and looked at the gap between the north and south lifestyles and how they live and where they work. And this is when we found that most of the industry and business as well as education was in the southern part of the country. And this is where people attend very expensive college if they can afford it. And they go to college for accounting and finance and things that will benefit the businesses that are in the southern region. But there's not really a solid education system for once they get to college. It's kind of to each their own as far as what the college wants to teach. So there's not a streamlined service, which makes making sure that everyone's on the same page once they get into the workforce a little bit difficult. And high schools don't often support students with enough education so that way they can go straight into the workforce. It's almost set up that they need to go to college if they would like to have a high-paying job.
And with all of this information, it finally leads us to our huge adaptive challenge, which is focused on Brazil's higher education system. And so we would like to bridge the regional infrastructure gap by changing the cultural norm towards a more applicable education system that fits the country's modern needs, because we have to try to change the minds of the people so that they can improve the lives of not only the people in Brazil, but also improve the lives of everyone around.
The prior and current actions in Brazil was just a system of in-house training after hiring and mandatory English classes in high school, and then some funding used for increasing secondary schooling and quality.
For our solution, we're trying to ease the time burden for students working full-time while in evening classes. We found that this was a common trend, therefore giving the students either 2 hours paid off or just lesser of a demanding schedule would help them to do their schoolwork. In addition, we also tried forming a technical schooling cooperative with like industries so Vermeer could have talent pool to draw from, as well as all the other companies. By having a cooperative, multiple companies would be able to pour into it and give them their knowledge and education to help better the kids entering the career industry later. Lastly, we want to utilize the knowledge of retired operators for training. This way, the students in the schools will have those skills that are really demanding out there in their work area.